The JayZ Podcast with Deacon Dirty.
So, do you think a show like Video Music Box could live today in the streaming era, of on demand? Do you think it could live today?
I think so, because if you stick to like some of the classic stuff, I think there's a place for classic and some new stuff, not everything. Like I like trap music, I like certain things, but certain things I just don't get.
Right.
And that's cool because that's I'm not supposed to get it.
Yeah.
It's not for me. And so I think there's a space for it, with certain artists, like the Drakes of the world and Kendricks of the world.
Yeah.
I think that an older hip hop audience can appreciate some of the music that those artists put out as well. So I think there's a space for it. You look, they have classic rock shows, right?
Yeah, true that.
And they don't. So we have to have a classic hip hop. It's got to happen. I mean, we got Rock the Bells. LL is basically that's his thing, is to do classic. But we need more of a like MTV has classic rock still. And I'm like, yo, when y'all gonna do a classic hip hop channel?
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Like,
I would love to look back and see them, some of the music videos back from the 80s, man, early 80s, man. It'd be funny to look at, and two, it'd just be so nostalgic, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look, every Wednesday and Thursday on my Instagram at 9:30, I do a live and I just play old school videos.
Okay, that's what's up.
On my gram. And people be like, yo, they be like just going back on what they remember at that time.
Yeah.
They was in middle school or whatever it was. My uncle. This reminds me of my uncle. This is what all these things that take people back.
Yeah.
But like people go like, well, they can watch these things on YouTube, but if they don't know it's there,
exactly,
what's going to make them go and start looking for it?
Look for it. Yeah.
Well, that's your way. So that's once again,
Yeah. So I'm here.
So we got to celebrate what is now is about 30, how many years now? 38? 37 years?
Yeah.
What, and I thought I saw a picture or a video of you like in your, looking at all the catalogs. You was like in your file.
Yeah.
Station.
Yeah, that's part of the Video Music Box collection.
Okay.
So this year, in 2020, we started the Video Music Box Collection, which is a nonprofit organization, and that's dedicated to preserving the culture, making sure that it's digitized, making sure that it's searchable, making sure that, high school kids or college kids or people that go to a museum and have access to this stuff and see it. And so we started the nonprofit.
Okay.
Right when we were going to do events and things like that, we had it planned out. COVID hit.
Shut it down, bro.
And that shut everybody down.
Yeah.
So, basically what we've been doing is digitizing. That gave us time because I'm working from home. That gave us time to, spend more time with the collection and take all of these VHS tapes and all kinds of other tapes that we have and turn those into digital files, but at a high end, a high end level.
Absolutely.
And so we've been working really hard for since March, well, since February, really. That's when we started, and getting everything ready so that people will eventually be able to either subscribe to the Video Music Box collection, or if you're a teacher and you're saying, hey, Ralph, I'm doing something, I want to do a story on Nas, but I want my kids to be able to see the real deal, and then we could send it to them and they can look at it right in their classroom. Like, they don't own it, but they can watch it and they can talk about it. It'll be a topic of discussion because hip hop is part of our culture and it's an important part.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did it, because, back in the days, when I first started Video Music, I used to hear horror stories about, like tapes of performances of like, let's say Michael Jackson or James Brown or, whoever from back in the days, and people just threw them away, these TV stations.
Wow.
And I'll be like, well, why would they do that?
Right.
Because they don't care. Once we go back to Black Lives Matter again.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter to you and it's not part of your culture, why do you care? Right. So we have to take responsibility for that now. So being that I've been shooting for all this time and I got 20,000 hours, I can at least take responsibility for my stuff and make sure that it's correct. And so, like you guys are doing, like this is super important. You know, this is something that 50 years from now somebody could be watching.
Absolutely.
We have to think about it like that. We can't just think about it in the this moment. We got to think about it for years from now.
Well, speaking of years from now, when you were going through the catalog years back,
yes,
you know, today, what was the video that you was processing? It was like, yo, that I remember. You know what I'm saying? What was the one that stood out to you the most?
I think we posted something up the other day, and it's JayZ performing at this place called The Ark in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah.
And that was and I didn't realize it at the time. He performed every song from Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
Because we were just waiting for at the time, Ain't No Nigga was the hot song, right?
Yeah.
And so we just waiting for him to do that. But he performed every song off of that album because the album wasn't even out yet when he performed it.
Okay.
So he did 22 Twos. He did, you know, he did In My Lifetime. He did all these songs, right? And so when I went back and looked at the raw footage, I was like, yo, he did like almost every song off the album, you know, because I only used Ain't No because that was the hot song at the time. That's what I put on the show.
Yeah.
And nobody else knew the other songs yet. And so I was like, this is crazy, you know. So I mean, just to watch, you know, the evolution of him, you know, from being with JayZ in the beginning, and then being with Kane, and you know, and just coming along and becoming his own person to being, you know, the mogul that he is today, is crazy.
Came a long way from the Hawaiian Sophie video.
Hawaiian Sophie.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.